G'day, mates. Well, today's episode is all about paying homage to the OGs of Sorare, the Sorare legends, the guys that when things were all sunshine and rainbows, they were leading us to the promised land. They're the cards that made us fall in love with the platform. They're the guys that they're not necessarily household names, but we love them. We love them dearly, and they've made us feel special. They've brought us plenty of good times on the platform. They make it fun. And look, even when the world's falling apart around us, we can always look back on those memories and enjoy them. But look, Alistair, before we go down that memory lane, that sweet, sweet path of remembrance, we need to talk about the here, the now, the weekend that was. How'd you fare? Did you come out unscathed, or was another week of disastrous scores for the boys in blue?
Uh, it was a week of almosts. I had one of my recent signings, Matthias Rojas, who has not he's played one game since I bought him, and he's been injured the entire time. He finally got the start again and missed a pen. So
you had one job.
If he had scored that penalty, I think I'd probably be in the cards in America Super Rare. But look, it's a real kind of hospital ward at the moment in my gallery. There's a lot of injuries, a lot of people kind of, out for a couple of weeks. I've realised Shin Jin Ho's just done his toe. So, I'm running a bit thin at the moment, but, during the midweek, managed to pick up a tier 5. I sinned quite badly on Friday night. I was like, "Yep, I've nailed myself a tier 3 here. I've finished in the top 5. No one can overtake me. There's one guy that can overtake me, but his last player needs to get 100 for him to overtake me. So that won't happen. So tier 3 in the bag, baby.
Previously on
Sorare Down Under.
Thou shalt never get your hopes up.
In this episode of
Sorare Down Under.
No one can overtake me.
I have sinned against you, my lord.
Sure enough, 100 incoming. So dropped out of the tier 3s and picked up a tier 4, I think. So, but hey, a win's a win, and especially when you're getting a super rare, it's just a little bit more exciting.
Just showing why you shouldn't sin. Even this week, I managed to. I think I'm going to hold on for a tier 3 in the end, but I know I sent you a message. I was like, "Look, I got it last time." And you can tell that you've been hurt before because you were like, "Don't you get those hopes up? It's not over till it's over."
Yeah, I mean, you forgot to factor in the fact that the K-League scores still hadn't come in. So I noticed this morning you dropped quite a few places because all of those AAs came in. Luckily, you didn't drop out of the tier 3s. But that would have been, just desserts for you for getting those hopes up like a naughty, naughty sinner that you are.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Now, it was an interesting week because I had an 80 or 88 from Zilarian, who's absolutely crushing it. Man's an absolute beast at the moment. He can do no wrong. And I was like, great, fantastic. But Joe Willis lost his clean sheet. He got 37, and then I put myself through the pain of watching the full Austin game. Joyce had 45 minutes to do something, missed an open tap-in. He got 28. It's over. Game week's over. 37 from your keeper, 28 from your forward. It's done. What a waste of a Zella score. Hold the phone. Just shows how important getting those dark greens are. Bang. Show Sasaki, clearance off the line, 85 points. And then my boy Tom Hay pumps out a cheeky 85 as well. And all of a sudden, here I am in tier 3 territory with 28 from my star forward and 37 from my goalkeeper.
Yeah, it just goes to show how important those dark greens are. I mean, Tom Hay, 85 in a 4-0 loss. I mean, that's pretty impressive. No decisive either. So he was a busy boy. Which is, I think, a very good segue to talk about our kind of first topic of the day, which is the upcoming transfer window. Now, I think you're probably feeling a little bit apprehensive about the upcoming window. I'm actually really excited because I don't think I have any players that are going to leave.
Ha! Wrong!
I do have a lot of players that are currently dead that I'm just hoping and praying get a nice, tasty move over the off-season. Tom Hay, of course, a few rumours spreading around that he might be going to Sunderland.
No!
I think Toulouse was another option for him, so hard to know whether that's a good or a bad thing for him. But yeah, how are you feeling about the upcoming window? Is there anything you're particularly terrified of?
I think with my Tom Hay, he's probably the main worry because I feel like he is the kind of guy that, I mean, he racked up 80 points in a 4-0 loss. He's all about that AA. So I feel like for him, if his position in the team plays, if they're playing him, might be at left mid rather than that CDM role or something like that, he's just going to become another 50 average player who's just rubbish.
Yeah,
So,
you don't. He needs to go somewhere and be the main man because he is the main man at Heerenveen. He's on all sets, so he's getting lots of penalty area entries and all that kind of stuff. So if those disappear and he just becomes kind of another midfielder at Sunderland, then could be bad news. But I guess that's all part of the excitement, is just kind of not knowing whether it's going to come out for the best or not.
Well, I was looking at his stats and he's doing everything he can for Heerenveen. I mean, he had 2 shots on target, 6-1 contests, 2 big chances created, 4 attempted assists, 6 penalty entries, all playing basically in a deep CDM role. He's doing his best to try and carry the boys.
He's carrying the boys, yeah. His back must be just so sore.
But yeah, thank God he's got strong shoulders, otherwise he'd be out every week for, sore back.
Tom the deltoid, hey. What? Did you see his goal in the midweek that, Simon, you're on a bit of a roll here. 4-man threshold achieved. Congratulations.
Yes, that was a good feeling. It's when you put 4 players in for a threshold, you're like, look, you put it in just in case. And it actually bloody worked.
Absolutely nailed it. Did you see his goal?
No, I couldn't, because I'm blind.
No, I didn't. No.
So he's got it kind of outside the box. He blasts the most delicious knuckleball you've ever seen. So purely did he hit this knuckleball that it fooled Lars Unnerstall, who's one of the best keepers in the game. He basically made him look like he was in the 5th division. So much so that they gave Lars an error led to goal because he just missed it by so much. Usually the error led to goal is they play it out from the back and they make a mistake. This was just purely you should have stopped this, but you were, you were miles off. It was because Tommy just absolutely put that spice on it.
Oh, mate, that's amazing. Look, hopefully he goes somewhere where he is just the best guy at a rubbish team. That's probably the best case scenario. In terms of my other guys like Otamendi and the likes, I think he won't have a bad move in him. He's old. I can't see him going on. Hopefully he goes River Plate and crushes. But what about you? What are some of the guys that you have coming? Because I know one of the guys in my gallery just got to move Edison Flores, and I've been getting a bunch of offers, offers coming left, right, and center for 0.01.
Yeah.
I'm hang on. Why does everyone all of a sudden want my Edison Flores?
Yep, there's no better feeling than waking up to a million offers and being like, something good has happened. Something good has happened. That's an amazing move for him. Obviously couldn't cut it at all in the MLS or Liga MX, so he's going back home to Peru, and I can only see good things for Edison in the future, because apparently he is quite a good player, but he's just not quite at that level. So I think, some unexpected utility for you. This is why you never throw out your tier 5s, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. Hold them tight and hold them dear until they're officially retired and in the books. And even then, don't rule them off.
That's it. Just quickly, in other news, talking about the A-League, of course.
Can somebody please tell me when is A-League?
We're very much A-League supporters here. Big result over the weekend. Our boy Danny Vukovic. We're both very proud holders of Danny Vukovic.
He's my special boy.
He's now a premiership captain for the Central Coast Mariners. Unfortunately, our boys Melbourne City were on the receiving end of a 6-2 drubbing. 6-1, which is, for those who don't keep up with the A-League, and I know that you all will very soon as Nicholas gets his bloody act together, Melbourne City basically just dominated all season. It was absolute, no one even got a look in all year. It was Melbourne City are just cruising their way to the title, and then look, in the big game, in the big dance, couldn't handle it.
This is the worst case of chokes I've ever laid my eyes on.
And the old CONDOM ripped in a hat-trick, was it?
Yeah, hat-trick, yeah. The worst thing is, bro, is obviously, I work for Melbourne City. I'm riding the highs and the lows. This is arguably the best A-League team in a decade, I'd say.
Yep.
Just shows like when it
Counts
comes
for nothing.
to finals football, absolutely choke. They've done a Millwall. They've done a Millwall.
They've done a George Long.
A bunch of George Longs running around. But what I will say though, the problem with this is now that Daddy Vukovic has won the A-League at like 36 years old, there's probably a good chance I'll go out on a winning note. I can't see him going.
That's just made him hungrier. Surely he's got it. He's whet his appetite. He's ready to dip it. He's ready to rip in again.
I'm ready to go in, coach. Just give me a chance.
Oh dear. But yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a diversion. But going back to the transfer window, I'm quite excited because it is a very exciting time of year, kind of seeing the Twitter rumors come in and different players moving and the highs and the lows of all that. I'm really hoping that a couple of my dead super rares come back to life. Xavier Mercier, who, for those who don't remember, I won Underdog rare a few months ago, back when Underdog was a thing, and my super rare reward I immediately swapped for Xavier Mercier, who used to be a certified crusher in the Belgian league. He then, about 2 days after I did that, signed with a Hungarian team, which is not covered. So, but he has not been playing for them. He's been getting the odd bench minute here and there. So I'm hoping that he's got a sense of self-worth and a sense of pride, and gets himself the hell out of there and maybe back to Belgium where he can, go back to doing what he was doing. So fingers crossed for Xavier. I'm also hoping that Fabrizio Angeleri gets a move back to South America. Look, he threw the toys out the pram at River Plate, wanted to get a move to Europe.
I hope it doesn't sound arrogant when I say that I am the greatest man in the world.
And it didn't work out. He sucks. So go back to where he came from and just go back to crushing. Come on, mate.
And another one, of course, Alexander Maxim. Obviously situated with the platonic tectonic plates.
Oh, mate, the platonic plates are they've calmed down, so it's time to go home, Alexandru. Head back to Gaziantep and get back to crushing. We miss you. We miss you, baby.
Now, of course, not all the transfers are necessarily good. Let's touch on it now. At the top of the show, it is big news. So you're officially the largest and most complete Wolfsburg owner on Sorare.
I am. Well, I'm not number one on the leaderboards because of semantics, but I do currently own every single Wolfsburg 2022-2023 season card. So I'm about 20 or 30 points off number one spot on the leaderboard. So I might need to go out and see if I can, whip together a few 1 of 100s, or maybe, win a few more cards on auction or something like that. I think once the 90 days ownership rule ticks over, I'll be on 600 or so points. So I should be well and truly number one. But the completion is the completion. The collection is complete.
What's going on with you? What are you talking about?
I overpaid horribly for a Renato Stefan limited card, but I got there in the end, and it feels good, man.
I tell you what, mate, this is the next step for Sorare. They should be handing out pins to people that have a full, complete collection.
I know. I mean, look, I speaking of pins, I woke up this morning to a very special treat in my Sorare shop inventory. I now am the proud owner of an OG badge, which we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You couldn't care less. I was very excited about the OG badge. Look, if you think that I'm not, showing this to the ladies on a night out, you got another thing coming because it's sexy. It's shiny. It shows them that I've been there from the beginning, and look, if people don't want to hear about your NFT fantasy football collection, then
fuck off. Fuck right off.
Yeah.
They're not worth
I
it.
can tell what's really walking. Look, it kind of ties in perfectly because you are the OG. You've been there from the get-go. You've seen it all, the highs, the lows.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to talk about these Sorare legends that we hold so dear.
A bit of a trip down memory lane. Have a look at some of the cult heroes that have graced our our platform over the last couple of years.
And because these are the guys that, for us, we go, oh, you don't know so and so, but like they're not household names. These are not guys that
God, no.
necessarily, especially in the country that they're not playing, people would have no idea who they are.
You don't know me, son.
Yeah.
But somehow, our little Sorare community together worship them like gods.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, we thought we'd do a bit of a just go through and like highlight some of the kind of, I guess, the cards that mean the most to us and mean the most to the community. We'd love to hear in the comments, what your favorite cult heroes have been over the year, or the cards that mean the most to you in your gallery. Like, we'll go through a couple of our own personal favorites that have meant a lot to us over the last couple of years. Again, they don't mean anything to anyone else, but they hold a very special place in our heart. But look, the first one that we're going to highlight here, I mean, it kind of is the most obvious one, really. He's the original Sorare Don. It's our boy Hans Vanaken.
Hans Vanaken.
He hasn't been as kind of dominant as he once was, but I remember when I first joined the platform, this was the OG OP card. Like, you can see here, look at all these hundreds. He was dark green for days. He was ridiculously expensive and absolutely unobtainable. It was something that I could only dream of obtaining one day. I should probably buy one just for old time's sake. But Big Hans, Lord Hans, absolute legend of the game.
Absolutely. And the next one is one that for this summer, this is when Hans wasn't in action. This was the rule number 1. And it's Carlos Hill.
Oh, Carlos Hill. I'm going off a different order to you. Carlos Hill.
Carlos Hill?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, again, similar to Hans, he's not quite the dominator that he once was now with all the different leagues and players on board. You've got so much competition now for the kind of most powerful card, but for many years there, Carlos Hill, if you didn't have Carlos Hill, you didn't win. It was as simple as that. He's still great, still holds a very special place in my heart. Can't wait to buy his super rare one day. Absolutely love a bit of Carlos. And look, he's a handsome devil. He's a gorgeous boy. He's got a lovely little kind of lispy Catalanian accent. He's just a gorgeous man.
And we'll never forget when he played in the snow and he had his famous quote, "I understand nothing."
I don't understand nothing today. It'll go down in history as like one of the greatest interviews of all time.
Play like this? Do you think we play football, soccer today?
You think we play football? You think we play football today? I love it.
This is not football. It's impossible. Like, what?
Look at all those hundreds. God, he was an absolute legend. Speaking of legends, speaking of OP'd kind of powerful cards, he's been injured this year, so it hasn't been, he hasn't been front of mind as he once was. But Ryo Kikuchi. I mean, you look at that L15, you might think, who's this plotter? Who's this absolute loser? Well, again, he was at one point just the dominant card to have on Sorare. It just seemed unfair. I remember at the time I didn't have a Kikuchi, and it just seemed unfair how often he scored 100. He would always latch onto a header. He's a defender, this guy, so he's racking up AA all the time. But just the amount of times he would get an assist or a header, and bang out that 100. And again, I didn't have him, so I was extremely jealous, and I hated Kikuchi because he was always basically the one that would kick me out of the prize pools because everyone else was taking advantage of these hundreds.
I almost picked one up at the start of the year. I was very close.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone very well for you.
Yes. I think he was a hamstring? Went down with a hamstring?
It says
he's had a rough year. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, the past probably 2 seasons. A lot of
yeah, a couple of injuries. This is kind of his peak right through here, just hundreds every other week. But yeah, Kikuchi will always go down as one of the absolute OG legends of Sorare. Now, look, the next couple are a little bit more kind of, they're not really known for their Sorare prowess or their dominance on the pitch, but This next one is one that, the real OGs of Sorare will understand and they will know very well. If you've got an OG badge today on Sorare, there's a good chance you know this name. Ogenekaro Etibo.
Ogenekaro Etibo.
Now, Simon, does this name mean anything to you? Does this face mean anything to you?
I'm going to be honest, mate. There's a reason why I jumped ahead in the queue, because I read that name on the sheet and I was like, I have no idea who that is.
Okay, so this one's like a bit of a deep cut from the vault. So I can't remember who the manager was, but basically what happened is they had finished quite high up in the prize pool, and I think they got a tier, like a high tier 2. And at the time, a tier 2 was like, that's a good card. You're expecting a very good card if you pull that rank. Now, unfortunately for this user, Sorare had just onboarded Galatasaray, and look, their algorithm wasn't as strong as it is now. They hadn't made all the tweaks that they've been making over the last couple of years, so their kind of rewards algorithm was like, well, this is a brand new card from a club that we've just onboarded, so it must be good, right? So this guy unpacked an Ogenekaro Etibo and basically lost it. It was a Twitter meltdown. It was all anyone could talk about was this Etibo. And then it just became this cult thing where everyone was like, all of a sudden, this Etibo card had lots of value because everyone was like, I want this card. Like, everyone's talking about Etibo. And all of a sudden, his price is shooting up, even though he never plays, like, doesn't score well, is a useless card. But the Etibo was just, especially that card that he won, I think that has changed hands a few times. I do think that John Nellis owns it now, and it's a collector's item. It absolutely is like a so rare collector's item, and I think looking back in like 10 years' time, who knows, this Etibo could be worth a fortune, just purely because of its cult status.
Okay, cool, because that makes me feel so much better, because I was like, should I know who this is? Like, an L15 of 29.
Yeah. Only the true OGs will remember. Now, the next one is, again, just a very kind of collectible card, I think, and his name is Kazuyoshi Miura, or King Kazu.
King Kazu.
As he's known in Japan and kind of online. Now, you might not think this card is too exciting, he plays in the 2nd division, but if you look quite closely at his age there in the left-hand corner, he is 53 years old. Well, he was 53 years old at the time of this mint. He's now 56. He is still playing in the Portuguese 2nd division, but for a long time he was playing for Yokohama in the J-League at plus 50 years old, which is quite incredible.
Today is my 111th birthday.
And again, he became a bit of a so rare kind of cult favorite, and people were kind of paying, quite a lot more than they needed to pick up King Kazu.
How many owners of that card do you reckon, as it was getting towards the end of the season, went, oh, I probably should sell him. Surely he's got to retire soon.
He's got to retire soon, yeah.
He's got to retire. Oh, my God.
I mean, Oliver Entz, I don't know what their situation is, but I mean, look, if they get promoted, then all of a sudden he's a usable card again. So if you've held on to your King Kazu for all this time, like, who knows?
I feel like a good, for those unaware, I think last year I had a Nicholas Ladero, and he kept playing all the midweeks and all the games, and he's old and very injury prone. And Alistair and I went on it was probably 2 months where we were like, I wasn't using him because I was like, oh, this is the week he's going to get rested. Like, he has to get rested. I don't think he's ever missed a game since. And I feel like that's with King Kuzo. He's like, oh, he's going to retire. And then 20 years down the track, he's still going.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like, alcoholism. It's like if you stop, then that's when you die. So Kazu's just like, I'm just going to keep playing, otherwise my legs are going to explode.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Okay, let's go. Moving on. So the next one is, this is not so much necessarily he's a bit of a cult hero, but this card in particular is probably one of the most kind of sought after, unique cards on the platform, which is Enzo Perez.
Enzo Perez.
Unfortunately, it does say that his position is a midfielder and not goalkeeper, but basically this is a special edition card that they released after River Plate played a game in during COVID, and I think on the morning of the game, 12 players tested positive for COVID, so they had to roll out this team of just whoever was left basically. And Enzo Perez, who's a legend of River Plate, jumped in goals, and it was so such important news that Sorare decided they were going to make a special edition Enzo Perez goalkeeper card, and I think it's just one of the best cards on the platform. I don't know how many there are of them. It can't be that many, but whoever's got this, I'm sure they're not selling it, but I would absolutely love to own this card.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, that's I like that Sorare acknowledged the fact that, especially for River Plate, it's not a massive, it's a big club in the Americas, but in terms of world global football, not the biggest. And I love how they're acknowledging that in Sorare, we're getting all behind. We'll get behind Enzo. He's getting in goal. Yeah, I love it.
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah. So you can see there, the Doylemeister, he paid 0.313 for this card, which is definitely kind of a lot more than what the other cards go for. So he obviously realized the kind of collectability of this card, which is, it's an awesome card. Okay, now the next one we've got here is, before we jump into our own kind of personal Sorare heroes, this one here, I mean, everyone knows this card. Everyone, I think, has had this card at some point. It is the Alisson common card.
Alisson common card.
Specifically the Alisson common card. Many a threshold has been won with this card in goals. For those of you who haven't been on the platform long, you used to be able to play a common card in All-Star Rare. And in All-Star Rare, you could also hit the threshold. There's no cap 240. There was none of that. You didn't have to have 5 rares. You could play 1 common and 4 rares. And if you hit 205 points, you got, I think it was 0.01 ETH. And if you hit 250 points, you got 0.02. So it was threshold pretty much every week. And good old Alisson in goals. Basically, the rules were your common card took a 50% hit. But that didn't really matter because Alisson was getting 70 or 80 points every single week. It was when Liverpool were absolutely dominating, and it was just clean sheet after clean sheet. I think he got a goal at one point. I remember I had him in my lineup, and I was like, oh, he didn't keep a clean sheet, so now he's only going to get 15 points. Neck minute, Alisson Becker goal. So look, if it wasn't for this card, I'm sure that half the whales on this platform wouldn't be where they are today. Half the people who have played Sorare from 2021 onwards wouldn't be where they are today. Caps off to you, Alisson. You're absolutely a legend.
Yeah, absolutely. Walk down memory lane. Back when Sorare was easy.
Sorare was easy, yeah, absolutely. It was just a money-making machine. You won a tier 5 and you could cash it in for $150. Yeah, times have changed.
All right, now I think it's time for our own personal Sorare legends. Of course, these will mean absolutely nothing to anyone else. Maybe there's a few people out there that might resonate with some of these guys, but look, it's been well publicized, my checkered run with Sorare in terms of success, which kind of fortifies some of these guys because they were potentially the few that were the bright shining lights in what was a pretty depressing time of SO5 results. Look, the first, I think, is probably my first real card that I bought and actually did well, and it's Fafa Pico.
Fafa Pico.
He's at Nashville now. Used to be at Houston. Slow feet don't eat. That's the motto. He was banging in goals. And for the first time in my Sorare life, I had someone who actually could score in front of goal. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I remember it was like you said, it was your first taste of actual success. It was the first time that you were because I think you were grinding threshold and you were trying to hit that threshold every week. But this is the first time where it was oh, I've actually got a player that scores goals and gets decisives. And there was a real run there where I think we can probably find the run of scores from a while ago. And I remember it was kind of a bit of there we go, those greens in there. It was kind of a bit of a ritual for us every week. I'd just send you a text being fa, 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 fa. Because sure enough, Fafa had scored another goal. It was very exciting. And I mean, yeah, he'll forever hold a place in your heart. And I mean, even from my part, again, I live vicariously through you. I dragged you into this platform, and any little win you get makes me feel a bit better about myself. So Fafa definitely helped on that front.
And the next one is someone that is still brought up in my household. My housemates who don't give a shit about Sorare, but this guy is a cult hero amongst 5 21-year-old blokes in Melbourne.
There are men out here who will reaffirm you, support you, communicate their feelings.
And it's Burak Yilmaz.
Burak Yilmaz.
In the midst of COVID lockdowns, we would wake up with nothing to do during the day except tune in and follow our boy Burak Yilmaz. Look, so this was early days that I got Burak. Back when he was at Lily, when they won the league, right?
It was when he won the league, yeah. But I mean, you're kind of skipping over the fact that this was your referral reward.
Oh my, yeah.
Back when you got rare referral awards, I had signed you up. Of course, again, I've dragged you into this hellhole. But you know, I think so. The story goes, I had signed up, and again, I wasn't the earliest, but I was relatively early to the platform, and it was when they were giving out rare cards as referral rewards, and I got an Augustin Markison rare card, which at the time he was the Porto goalkeeper, and he was probably worth over $1,000. So of course I rang you up and I was like, "Hey, sign up to this thing. I mean, worst case scenario, you might get a card that's worth like $1,000." So we signed you up. I mean, of course, neither of us had the patience to wait for the auctions to actually get some good cards. We pretty much were just trying to get to that referral. You have to buy 5 cards off auction to get to your referral reward. So we snap bought a few plotters. I mean, you still got some of them in your gallery, surprisingly. But we snap bought the 5 closest players that came up. And then we eagerly awaited your referral reward. And see this big long run of DMPs here? You picked up Burak right smack bang in the middle of that. So after I got a $1,000 card, you basically got this worthless 34-year-old Turkish forward who, from what we could see, never played. And we were like, oh man, you have been absolutely gypped. But luckily, you held on to him, you kept him in the gallery, you kept him up your sleeve. He came back, and boy, did he come back. He helped Lille win the title, like you said. Went on a real run of just banging in goals, big 100 there. And ever since then, he's just been like one of your favourite cards.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cult hero. I remember when he was playing for Turkey, I think he missed a pen or something. Someone struck the TV, and then he retired from national playing days, and yeah, he's just like, I follow his career closely. And I tell you what, Alistair, I don't know if you know this, me and one of my mates, we were actually so close to buying a Burak Yilmaz poster and putting it up there. I'm not adding any mayo to this story. We were looking through trying to buy some Burak Yilmaz posters. All hail to the god.
Wow, I mean, It's one thing to buy a Burak Yilmaz jersey and, you wear it to soccer training and everyone's like, oh, how do you know Burak Yilmaz? But just to think that, you might bring a girl home after a particularly successful night out and then she just sees this giant poster of Burak Yilmaz on your wall and you have to explain to her, oh, that's Burak Yilmaz.
And then we spend the next 2 hours. Okay, so it's this NFT soccer thing, right? So what do you want to do? But you get utility, you see.
Oh, mate, no Viagra necessary.
but I mean, it probably speaks wonders, doesn't it? I mean, it turned out all right, and hopefully that's how my Sorare story will finish.
That's it.
You got an Augustin Marchesson, and I got a DNP 31-year-old Turkish striker.
34. He was 34. I think that's what we were like, oh man, this guy's basically retired. But no, he's not retired. He's still actually playing. I don't know if he's retiring, but he might even get a move. I know that he's not going to be playing for Fortuna Sittard next season, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Oh man. And this brings us to the ultimate GOAT. I've got him as my wallpaper on my phone. Very cool stuff, I know. Sebastian Blanco.
Papa.
There he is. Hall of Fame. I haven't quite got the full rainbow yet, but I'm working on it. Sebastian Blanco.
You were close to that unique.
I was so close. I'm kind of glad that I didn't pull the trigger just yet, but who knows? It still might happen. Look, Sebastian Blanco, Papa, as we call him. This is kind of the first, I think. This is the first instance of us really like falling in love with a player because of Sorare. Like, I think he was injured, and this was back during the days. Again, a lot of reminiscing going on this episode, but this was back in the day where, because prices were so high, if you could identify an injured player who was going to come back and potentially be quite a good player, you could make quite a lot of money. Like, probably can't do that as much these days. Like, they've got to be an absolute smasher for you to make any kind of profit on flipping an injured player. But back then it was like, oh, this guy's out with an ACL. He'll be back in July. I'm going to pick him up now and, flip him for quite a sizable profit. So I'd bought a couple of Sebastian Blancos. I suggested you do the same. What could go wrong? I don't think he ever really quite hit the financial heights that we thought he was going to, but he was part of our teams. And we started watching Portland games, you and I, pretty religiously. And look, the number of times Sebastian came through with a last-minute assist or a goal, he was just such an important part of our galleries for such a long time. And look, he'll forever be our Papa.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's why we love Sorare. We've spoken about it a lot in the past on previous episodes about, even financially, if it's not going amazing, the love of the, what it creates. And yeah, Sebastian Blanco always have a place in my heart.
Absolutely. We're getting emotional here. All right. Well, look, that was a nice little trip down memory lane. Would love to hear your favourite cult heroes or the cards that have kind of meant the most to you. As you can see, I mean, Fafa Pico, Burak Yilmaz, and Sebastian Blanco, you couldn't have a more random selection of cards, but, to us, they'll always be number one.
Yeah, I don't know how great listening that was while we went down that little nostalgia train, but it was fun for us.
Yeah, look, I mean, nostalgia is a powerful drug, so hopefully it kind of got you guys thinking about your own Sorare journeys.
Now, so I just want to quickly pay homage to those that have died on the Sorare community. I mean, they were once the height of heights, and then now
a real right turn there. Ah, isn't Sorare lovely? Anyway, a bunch of people have died. Woof. So this is the 2023 in memoriam.
Erling Haaland will not live up to the expectations. He isn't the player that everybody thinks he is. People are saying that he's going to win the Golden Boot. That is outrageous.
Nick Minute. Erling Haaland moves on to 20 Premier League goals for City. Yes, 20 in only his 13th Premier League start.
But yeah, so look, for all those guys that died, look, we're thinking of you. Hopefully you can come back into some sort of SO5 relevancy soon. We'll forever love you and hang in there, guys. Now, so, okay, moving on from the dead guys of Sorare. Before we wrap up, have you got some buy lows, some sell highs for us this week?
I do have some indeed.
I let the stocks decide my mood.
Fuck! Damn it!
Wait, is green good? Green's good? Okay, never mind.
Let me just pull that up. Okay, so couple of buy lows. I've got a couple of sell highs as well. It is getting a bit tough to kind of continue to cover the sell highs just because it's it's transfer season. So the players that are on the move, kind of, it's all becoming pretty obvious as to whether they're worth holding on to. But a couple of buy lows. First one, so this one I actually came across. This is the guy that I overpaid for basically to get his limited to complete my collection. You can see there he's selling for about $9. I think I paid like $38 for him. But hey, chump change if it helps me get to my complete Wolfsburg collection. But look, I spent so much time trying to buy him. I actually started looking into him, and I was like, damn, he's actually like super solid. Plays for Lugano in the Swiss Super League. He's signed with them for a few more years. Now, I think you can probably recognize a pretty consistently strong theme in my buy lows. I love a player who's just the main man. I love a guy who just does everything for his team, because I think you're always in with a shot of a decisive. And, you know, even without the decisive, generally the AA is pretty good. Now, I know, Simon, you're in the process of kind of looking at scouting out a few European players for the next season. I think you could do much worse than this guy, Renato Stefan. Let's have a look at these scores of late. Some nice big juicy greens up there. Obviously a bit of rotation towards the end of the season. Plays up front. Now, the most important thing is that he also takes pens, he takes free kicks, and he takes corners. So, which is pretty strange, really, for a forward to be taking corners. But according to Sorare data, he is the corner taker for them. So he pretty much does it all. So Renato Stefan at 0.09, I think, could be an absolute sleeper pick for next season.
Absolutely. I'm assuming he's playing like deeper on the pitch, like a sort of Johnny Russell kind of. Is he playing more as a
like
mid,
a cam? Yeah. Well, it says here that he's playing striker. If he has the odd game at cam, I think when he does play cam or left attacking mid, you can see his AA is just unbelievable. So, but even without that, like as a forward, his all around score is pretty high. He also plays for Switzerland, so could get some minutes in these upcoming Euro qualifiers against, you know, Andorra and Kosovo. So, you know, again, I was saying last week, you know, if you wanted to pick up a few Europeans that have that international utility, then, you know, perhaps you don't have to wait all the way until the end of July to use them again. You can probably get quite a good run of fixtures out of them here, you know, to play along some.
He's up against some of the world's best, you know.
Yeah, I mean that Andorran defensive line, it's pretty impenetrable. That's what they say. All right.
Okay, cool. Look, not gonna lie, I'm probably pretty bad at just like pulling the trigger on things, but for 0.09 for a forward is incredible. So that could really solve some serious issues. Okay.
And it's one of those ones where, look, he plays for a league that no one really gives a shit about. So, you know, that's probably why he's flying under the radar. But sometimes those can be just the best players to have. And if you,
I would say just quickly though, sorry, Alistair, I would say though with him, probably a bit of like a Maxim type where it's like he crushes because he's in a weak league and in a team, but he's not actually that good of a player. So if he does get a move, there's a good chance he just like dies.
Yeah, but again, he's 31 years old, so, and he's obviously Swiss. He's now playing in the Swiss league. You know, that to me just screams, look, I've given it a good crack, but now I'm just going to go back and dominate my own home league, a la Danny Vukovic. So I wouldn't be too worried about him like going to Man City and rotting on the bench. I don't think that's going to happen.
To be honest, even if it did and my card died, if Renato Stefan got a move to Man City, I'd be like, look, well done.
Yeah, good for you, Renato. Okay, look, the next card here is Eden Visca. So again, players who have been around for a little while might remember he was kind of one of the most OP cards a few years ago when Trabzonspor won the league. Let's have a look at his scores here. So he was injured for a long time. I think he did like his shoulder or something. But prior to his injury, you know, he was the man. He's come back, a few bench appearances, slowly working his way in. Now he's kind of finally started to get back to form just towards the end of the season. And now what kind of particularly excites me about Eden is when he was crushing it, he was the main man. Again, we love a main man. And then while he was out, the main man became Bakasetas, who you might remember, you know, has been kind of the one of the new crushers of the most recent season. Bakasetas, from all accounts, is going to be moving in the off season. He's got, you know, quite a few transfer rumors about him going to Germany and a few different other places. So if that happens, one can hopefully assume that Eden Visca resumes his role as the king of Trabzonspor, and hopefully starts smashing again next season. Because he's been out, because he hasn't really been scoring that well, his price is pretty suppressed, 0.08 for his rare. So again, just could be absolutely worth a punt on a player like this. For me, I'm probably looking to see if I can pick up his super rare because, the upside is just really high.
Love it.
Love it.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Love it. Lock it in.
Lock it in. The last one we've got here, I'll take my notes off the screen, is Igor Paschal. So this is a card that I won a while ago before I sold all my rare cards. He is under 23. He was kind of in and out of Feyenoord's team throughout the season. But I remember from when I owned him that he was pretty good for a decisive when he did start and did play. Has pretty good AA as well. As you can see, they're a bit spotty in terms of his starting. He's a sub for a fair stretch, but still managed to score the odd decisive. But Feyenoord as a team, obviously they won the title this year. A lot of their forward line is probably going to move. I know Santiago Jimenez is off to somewhere, and I can just see this guy kind of coming in and really having a massive breakthrough season next year. So he may not necessarily be the best card on the platform, but under 23 options are looking a little bit thin on the ground for next season, and this could be one that you could absolutely pick up at a bargain. We all know how valuable under 23 forwards are. So, pick him up now, and if he starts regularly for Feyenoord next season, then, the value of him could really jump.
Especially for Feyenoord, pretty regular crushers of their Eredivisie, so...
Yeah, exactly. Whether they're going to be as good next year without, Kochu and Jimenez and some of those players, but who knows?
Tell you what, mate, just quickly, sorry, that's probably one we missed. I feel like a Sorare legend's got to be Kochu, right? He was like...
I mean, look, there was a lot on our list. For those who don't know, we did cull our list quite a lot before the episode because we didn't want to drag it on too long. I mean, some honourable mentions in there. Cecilia, Kochu definitely is on there. I mean, you had Bobby Shuttleworth on there, who's an absolute legend of the game. King Carlos Lampe. Who else do we have in there? I mean, there's been some... I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold could probably go down as one of the OGs just because I think he probably, at one point, was the most expensive card on the platform. I think it was like 8 ETH for his rare. So, I mean, he could have made the list.
Hulk.
Hulk was dominant for a few years there. We had quite a long list. Vinicius Souza I was going to put in there just because he was, I think for me, he symbolizes the peak of Sorare. I think when Gerard Piqué bought his super rare for like 4 ETH, that was kind of like this moment of like, holy shit, Sorare is kind of getting a bit ridiculous now. And then sure enough, we had a massive market crash after that. Anyway, okay, so those are my buy lows. Go out and make some money. Come on, we could all use some. I've got a couple of sell highs. Again, they're getting a few bit thin on the ground, really. I don't think there's too many at the moment where it's like, oh, you should definitely need to get rid of this guy. But one that might be a bit controversial is our boy Jude Bellingham. Now, I think, again, a lot with most of my sell highs, if you buy these players, I think you're probably going to be fine long term. I think Jude Bellingham is pretty unanimously known as one of the best players in the world, and he will be for ages. He's 19 years old, and he's already like at the top of world football. So
crazy that he's 19. Like, he's done so much already, and he's 19.
Yeah, it is bonkers. And look, if you have this card, I probably wouldn't sell it. But this is not, should you hold these cards long term? This is buy low, sell high. And I just feel like right now is an opportunity to potentially sell out of Jude Bellingham if your goal is to play Sorare more efficiently and kind of get bang for your buck. He's more than likely going to Real Madrid next season, which could be amazing. He could be absolutely overpowered, but Real Madrid have got so many midfielders. I just don't... he's going to become one of those cards where you just never know when he's going to start. You know, they've got Camavinga, they've got Tchouameni, they've still got Kroos and Modric who refuse to leave. You know, it's absolutely stacked in there, and I just don't know if he's going to be the locked-in starter that he is for Borussia Dortmund. And, you know, his price could take a bit of a hit if that's the case, if he's no longer quite as powerful as he currently is. Like, again, buy him for long-term, sure. But if you're purely looking to utilize that money better in, you know, other places to kind of maximize your money, this could be one that you could free up quite a bit of ETH.
Yeah, because I mean, and we've especially like new club as well for probably the first month and a bit of the season. Like he's going to be in and out as he's working out, you know, getting into the systems, all that sort of jazz.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe there could be an opportunity to sell him now, buy back in like September, you know, when he's still feeling his way into the team, ready for next season, you know, the season after next, when I think he'll be like the guy at Real Madrid. So it's one you got to have a bit of patience on.
Yeah.
Mad.
All right, man. Well, look, I think we should probably wrap up there. We've, you know, it's been fun. It's always good looking back. And I think you can probably tell, like, the nostalgia that we got talking about, like, my very first days on Sorare, you know, the Borak Award. Like, everyone in Sorare has got those stories. Everyone remembers where they started and everything, all the craziness that's happened since. It's kind of fun to look back on.
It's wild, man. Like, even just looking back through, you know, on Sorare data, you look back at some of your Sorare results and you can look at some of the lineups you were putting out, you know, in, like, game week 156. You know, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but man, like just so much has changed in terms of the cards that were available on the platform back then, you know, what you had to do to win, you know, the thresholds, the different game modes, like it's completely different now. And it's quite exciting to kind of look back through all that and just, like I said, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It's been a fun ride. All right. Well, look, best of luck on the upcoming weekend. Hopefully you can turn things around. I'm going to try and keep winning, keep the wheels going. It's nice. It's fun to win. I've got a incoming, I should say, tier 3. I had a little look through the prize pool. Not great. I'm going to be honest. Not a great prize pool.
Yeah. Look, I mean, well, strange things can happen. I mean, I pulled a starting goalkeeper as a tier 5 not too long ago, so strange things can happen.
Have strange things happen.
Now, we should also say that
I might even
go on,
please.
Okay.
I was going to say I might even pull a Tebow.
I mean, look, we can only hope for an Atibo. Okay, so we should also let everyone know at home that you are going to be unavailable for the next 3 weeks. You will be on a very wholesome boys trip through Mediterranean Europe for the next couple of weeks, you know, just catching up on some history, reading a few books, really getting in touch with the local culture.
Bullshit? Bullshit.
You won't be on a yacht getting shit-faced and obliterated every day, will you? It'll be very wholesome, you know, your classic boys trip, really. Just see the sights, have a nap.
A few churches, have a nap.
A few churches, chuck a few, get a few churches in with the boys. So, I mean, I might have to roll solo for the next couple of weeks. I don't know if we'll have a podcast. I don't know if I've got enough personality to keep this going on my own. But we'll see. Let us know what you want. If you want us to fuck off for a few weeks, just let us know. Otherwise, I'll try and push through, put a bit of content out there, and, you know, feed our baby birds out there.
Yeah, look, I can't promise I'll be making too much content for the Sorare Down Under podcast while I'm on my yacht. But hey, crazy things have happened.
Okay, now are you going to remember to set your lineups? That's the big question. You got a different time zone over there, you know. Things are, you know, how are you going to handle, you know, running your Sorare boys while you're, deep in a 19th century Byzantine church?
I think you need to be my sponsor while I'm away. I think you need to check in on me regularly, send me frequent reminders. Like, I need to have a lineup in a day before the lineup, because otherwise there's a good chance I could just be MIA for the next 24 hours.
I think so. I might need to just send you. I might need to do a bit of research on your behalf and just be like, put these 5 boys in, and then you can just get it done.
I'll use my last remaining 2 brain cells to submit on that lineup.
Yeah, exactly. All right, good stuff.
It's been fun, but yeah.
All right, well, look, we won't see Simon for another 3 weeks.
Look, for me, I'll catch you in 3 weeks. No, but it's been fun. I'll be back. We'll be back bigger and better than ever. I'll try and not miss you all too much. It's been fun. Awesome.
Amen.
All right, best of luck on the weekend, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, mates.